Now, Mr. President, before our very eyes, an unelected shadow government is conducting a hostile takeover of the federal government. Friday night, the so-called Department of Government Efficiency, led by billionaire Elon Musk, gained access to the Treasury Department's entire system of payments, including Social Security and Medicare benefits and Americans' tax refunds. I'll say more on this in a moment. But that was not all. This weekend, DOGE staffers also executed what can only be described as an illegal seizure of the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID. We don't know who these DOGE staffers are. We don't know if they have security.
So, of course, the people in the government are squirming right now to know that there's a system that can do checks and balances way better than a human can. And it's starting to happen all over DC. This should be good. This should be good. See what Chuck Schumer is worried about.
Security clearances. We don't know what legal authority they have to access USAID facilities, if any. But we do know a few things. First, we know USAID has been completely ripped apart. Its offices are closed, its contracts have been broken, funding for its programs, which protect American interests around the world, have been halted. And Secretary Rubio said in an interview that he's been named the acting administrator and that they are, quote, reviewing and potentially reorganizing USAID, unquote. But
well, yeah, people are quitting because they're figuring out what's going on. What was it, Politico, that had a bunch of paid subscriptions from USAID or whatever, however people want to say it, USAID. But yeah, people are squirming over at USAID, and a lot of them are resigning. And yeah, there's reasons it's happening. It's not just because it's not in shambles because people looked at it. What? They looked at our financial records, and all of a sudden, things are falling apart.
But who's he kidding? There's virtually nothing left of USAID to review. Even the life-saving assistance he claims are exempt are not moving. Second, we know shutting down USAID puts American security in danger. USAID programs preserve America's influence in Africa, Asia, and regions across the world. Our humanitarian efforts are critical for fighting Ebola, which is spreading in Uganda right now. It's essential for countering terrorist activity. At the time of soaring egg prices, shutting off USAID programs that fight the global spread of bird flu is utterly asinine.
That's another one. And this is for anybody watching too. Anybody that's up in arms all of a sudden about fucking prices. I don't mean to cuss. Anybody that's up in arms about prices is just silly to me. It's like, where were you the last 4 years when prices were skyrocketing? You guys were trying to act like the economy was great. The economy hasn't been great. We were wondering if we were going to go into a recession. A lot of people were, but no. Everything's fine. This is all normal. This is the new normal. And when it comes to the bird flu, you're just talking about eggs and how much USAID does. How about the leaving administration that decided to kill so many hens? And everybody, yeah, that's the other thing. Everybody's like, oh, well, why are the prices going up on eggs? Well, that happened. There's a bird flu going on, and I'm sorry, but Donald Trump's not going to change everything in 2 weeks. I don't know a president that ever has come in and everything changed in 2 weeks. I would say he's doing pretty good in the last 2 weeks, but yeah, people are the reactions are just silly. I don't get it. I guess when the Democratic senator from New York and the minority leader, Chuck Schumer, is telling people that it's happening. Maybe people are believing it. I don't know.
If America retreats from the rest of the world, China will fill the void. Russia's influence will grow. Hatred against the U.S. will keep rising. Our diplomatic influence will disintegrate.
You guys would throw in an ad. Come on, C-SPAN. You're better than that. All right. Well, that plays. I will. Man, I don't understand how people are so distracted by this that they can't tell what's actually going on when it comes to what they're paying at the store. There's other things that are factors. I mean, I don't think anybody knew about the bird flu until the egg prices went up. I guess I don't know. Maybe that's just a modern convenience that other people don't have to deal with, where they don't realize what prices are until they actually start impacting them a little bit. Most people notice when, I mean, a regular person that's making a regular wage, they notice these things because they know how much they're spending at the grocery store. It doesn't take them, 6 deliveries from whatever place. No, most of these people are doing their own grocery shopping. They can see the prices. They watch it stay up or go up or rise, even if it's 20 to 30 cents. And yeah, of course it varies from region to region, but it's just so silly, like, that people are just so distracted by what's actually going on that they just want to blame whatever sitting administration instead of saying, okay, it makes, like, people understand what the previous administration's effect is on the sitting administration when it's in their favor, but they can't notice it when it's just food. I don't know.
Third, we know that unilaterally closing USAID is illegal. Donald Trump does not have the authority to erase an independent agency created by Congress, nor can the Department of State absorb USAID, especially because now there's basically nothing left to absorb. We also know this is just the beginning. If DOGE attacks USAID today, then you can be sure they'll move on to another target tomorrow. Who knows? Maybe it'll be the Postal Service or the IRS or even the Social.
You promise? You mean to tell me all of these places that we pay taxes for and these federal agencies that we rely on, they might have a check and balance system, and we might be able to see what's going on? Huh. Yeah, what a scary thing, Chuck Schumer.
Social Security Administration. They could
Social
be next.
Security?
Or maybe our national security agencies. We also know something else. By shutting down USAID, DOGE is doing the work of Russia and China at the expense of the United States.
I think that's one of the things that they've already said about Social Security is there's a lot of people that are obtaining it that shouldn't be getting it. If anything, it would strengthen these fields if they weren't corrupt all the way from the ground up, where you had to start from scratch. But otherwise, it's just trimming the fat. You're figuring out where it is, and that's what's cool about DOGE is at least more of an AI system where you don't actually have that many hands on it. Maybe that, I don't know. It's a benefit from somebody looking outside in and being like, yeah, I would want not as many hands on this confidential information while you can still vent it. But from the inside looking out, they're like, no, we don't want anybody looking at what we're doing.
In 2 weeks, DOGE has done more to erode American global influence than Russia and China have been able to accomplish in a long time. For Russian President and Putin ally Dmitry Medvedev even celebrated DOGE's activities online. Russia is elated by what DOGE is doing. Both Russia and China hate the work of USAID because it limits their own influence on the world stage. And now China and Russia have, in effect, their own propaganda machine within the federal government. This is dangerous. This is against America's interests. And
that actually might be true also. I think it's possible that the effects of us cleaning up a system could negatively affect other countries. I could see that, but it doesn't mean it's the wrong thing to do.
President Trump needs to show some leadership and rein in DOGE before it inflicts more harm on America's national security. Finally, DOGE's behavior is part of a troubling pattern of Russian and Chinese communist sympathizers increasing their influence on American foreign policy. A few days ago, Donald Trump named Darren Beattie as acting Undersecretary of State. Mr. Beattie has long pushed the Chinese Communist Party line on the Uyghur genocide.
Chucky, come on, man. Keep your phone turned off. This is an important thing. We're on C-SPAN. People are watching. Come on. Turn the cell phone off.
He has repeated Russia's propaganda on the Ukraine war. He has even advocated that
He's got a flip phone and he still checked it after it rang and after he looked like he was going to turn it off. That's kind of funny.
the U.S. make a deal to allow China to take over Taiwan. And now he has one of the most senior positions within the Department of State and oversees a large swath of American diplomatic work. Make no mistake, DOGE's conduct cannot be allowed to stand. Republicans in Congress must join us to take action to restore the rule of law and stop any potential law breaking by DOGE. DOGE is spreading across the federal.
I think he can find Republicans that will support him on this. There's enough corrupt people on both sides where financially it wouldn't be in the best interest for them to be fucking audited, basically. I mean, that's all it is. They're auditing things and they're figuring out how it's being spent. And I don't know why they're trying to pitch it like all these other people are getting a hold of your information. There's probably more people looking at that right now than they are by just adding Doge to it, because Doge has actually probably got less human oversight. It's probably a lot more AI, where it's just digging. It's all that's going on.
Federal government like a virus, and the American people, it's American people who will pay the price when their benefits and payments are taken away. On Treasury, or illegally taken away. Last Friday, DOGE forcefully gained access to the Treasury Department's payment systems and to the most sensitive information of virtually every U.S. citizen. Donald Trump basically handed DOGE the Social Security data of virtually every American citizen. He gave DOGE access to America's personal tax refund data. He gave DOGE access to American people's Medicare and Medicaid benefits, disability.
So this is all under the assumption that Elon Musk and the people there are trying to hurt the American people over actually help the American people, which is the whole process of what's going on and trimming the fat on these agencies. I don't know. I don't understand. You're just fear mongering to make people think there might be a problem with it. They're not. They already have your Social Security stuff. If they wanted to do something with it, they would have done it. It's an AI system that's digging to see where these agencies and where everybody is messing up and where the spending's actually going. It's a probe. I don't understand. Yeah, of course you're going to pass with information, but they're not using that. They haven't used that. I mean, it's kind of weird to fearmonger for it.
Data, veteran benefit data. Worst of all, we don't know what DOGE intends to do with this information. If you want to know how an unelected shadow government operates, look no further than DOGE. DOGE staffers, whomever they are, now have unprecedented access to the most sensitive payment data in the entire federal government. Unprecedented access with no transparency.
There is transparency. That's the whole point of it, is there actually is transparency. And I don't understand why. I don't know. I guess I don't. I understand why they would want to fearmonger and get people against it, but it doesn't make sense that they're pushing this agenda when it's obvious what's going on, and they just look like they're squirming in their boots rather than, they want the public to. They want the public to be nervous about this when you can clearly see that they're nervous about it. I don't know. It seems quite obvious, but let's have him explain further.
And guess what? The one independent watchdog who could have provided oversight was fired by Donald Trump over a week ago. The Treasury Secretary must revoke DOGE's access to the Treasury payment system at once. If he does not, Congress must act immediately. That's why Leader Jeffries and I will work together on legislation to stop unlawful meddling in the Treasury Department's payment systems. We must protect people's Social Security payments, Medicare payments, and tax refunds from any possible tampering by DOGE or other unauthorized entities. That's what Leader Jeffries and I will work to do. Let's be very clear. DOGE is not a real government agency. It has no authority to make spending decisions. It has no authority.
It's not a real government agency. They're not getting involved the way you think they are. It's literally an audit. That's all they're doing. Could you imagine, like, this is what he fears, but could you imagine if they got a hold of the IRS and audited the people that audited you daily? Like, wow, the check and balance system is so scary, especially to the Treasury Department. The people that are spending your tax dollars and know where it's going. How would you not want that to be looked into? Then you can know why some of these government programs aren't working and why everybody's so scared to lose Social Security. What if we found out that Social Security could be much stronger than it is and we could actually improve it? Oh my goodness, what a fear.
Authority to shut programs down or to ignore federal law. DOGE is operating, in essence, as a shadow government without accountability or transparency or regard for the rule of law. The American people did not vote to let DOGE get a hold of people's Social Security numbers. To give DOGE a chokehold on Treasury payments is outlandishly dangerous. It's like letting a tiger into a petting zoo and hoping for the best. It's impossible to overstate the
tiger into a petting zoo. What are we talking about right now? This is no, it's not what's happening right now. The people that have had things going in their favor for the longest time and have been making money financially off of others, they found the checkbook, and they were like, "Wait a minute, but we have checks we wrote to all of these other people. What if their information gets out? No, how are you spending your money? That's the real question here. Or our money, not even your money."
That this is playing with fire. The Bureau of the Fiscal Service, which oversees these Treasury Department payments, executes over 1 billion transactions a year, worth over $6 trillion. If these payments were ever intentionally or even accidentally halted or manipulated, it could paralyze the economy if we're not careful. One mistake, and people's Social Security benefits could freeze. Disability payments, aids to veterans, loan to small business.
I think it's very, he's hinting at anecdotal individuals rather than worrying about the big picture. I think it's more productive to worry about Social Security as a whole than it is to worry if one or two people got misidentified or something like that. And I don't think it's happening that casually. That's what I said. That's the fear mongering. He's just assuming something like that would happen. He has no evidence of that. It hasn't happened. And until it does, it doesn't really make sense to fear monger on it.
Business, they could all be endangered. The Treasury Department is already using extraordinary measures to ensure we do not default on the debt. If DOGE's careless meddling caused us to default, it could trigger a financial crisis around the world. This all begs the question, what does DOGE really want with all this data? What possible reason is there to give extremists, right-wing extremist people's Social Security payments, Medicare payments, and personal information?
And now they're right-wing extremists because they're probing the government and government agencies. That was, you know what I mean? That's just slander for no reason. They're looking into everything, and it has nothing to do with whether you think an AI is right-wing or not, or the people that work at DOGE are right-wing or not, or if you think they're extremists. That's a whole nother can of worms to open up. But
Will Doge try to halt Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid? God forbid. Will Doge cut funding programs approved by Congress that Donald Trump decides he doesn't like? What about cancer research, food banks, school lunches, veterans aid, literacy programs, small business loans? How do we know Doge won't use its access to the Treasury to enrich Donald Trump's billionaire friends? What if they go after the business competition of Doge's leadership? It's laughably naive to look at the wealthy.
When it comes to small business, I think Donald Trump's administration has done more to help grow small business than any other administration. At least to my knowledge, as long as I've been trying to run a business. And I knew, because I'm in a very, what you'd consider a leftist state, I would assume that it's different for everybody. But yeah, I could see the federal oversight when it comes to small businesses and what it's been under the Biden administration, the Obama administration. I knew what it was like. I watched the Obama administration prosecute small businesses that they didn't agree with. Like, happened all the time. They used the federal government for raids in that situation.
Billionaires who run Doge, who make enormous sums through government contracts and take them at their word that all they care about is efficiency. Give me a break. The immense danger is that we have no clarity, no explanation, no details for what Doge is truly after. The potential for corruption is too great. The Treasury Secretary must revoke Doge's access to the Treasury payment system at once. Democrats, as I mentioned, Democrats in the House and Senate, Congressman Jeffries and myself will introduce legislation to take action. What must halt this unlawful and dangerous power grab? We must halt this unlawful and dangerous power grab. Doge has no business anywhere near the federal government's payment systems, nor America's private data.